Namaste and welcome back to Waking Up with Mindful Serenity. I'm on a roll today on this very sunny, warm day. I'm on my third video. It doesn't take me long to do a video because there's no editing or revising. I just push the button and away I go, and then I click the button when I'm around finished or when the time comes up. And that's whatever I have here is what you get on YouTube. So anyway, I'm reaching in to grab another question from the jar of many questions, and I'll do my best to answer it within a 10-minute time frame. I have a big one here. I'm going to take a deep breath first. The question I received was more of a statement or a suggestion. Define mind. Define mind, M-I-N-D. And that's a biggie. What is mind? Or what is the mind? I think what I'd like to do is look at the word in terms of it being a noun, and then look at it in the terms of it being a verb. What is the mind then? Well, the mind, as far as I'm concerned, is not the brain, though materialistic scientists might refer to all mind matter as coming from the brain, but the mind is not something you'll ever find on a dissection of the brain or the dissection of anything in the body. You can't find thoughts, you can't find emotions. They are nowhere to be seen. They are invisible. They're non-material, yet they are still form, right? So the mind is that which contains the non-material form that makes human experience what it is. The mind is very, very complex and very, very grand, and there's different sections of the mind. There is the personal mind, what I call my mind, by attaching a big "my" to it. There is the intellectual mind, by which we conceptualize and make sense of it by analysis. Some people may call it the analytical mind. There is the primordial mind that is innate in us, something that we just came down. It's that reactive mammalian mind that responds to stress in order to keep the body alive. And then we have the higher mind, or the non-personal mind, or the universal mind. And I think as Anderson referred to it as the universal subconscious mind. We have the mind in so many different forms, but mind is mind. And though we have developed something called the personal mind, something that we attach a "my" onto, there is no personal mind. There is, as far as I'm concerned, one mind. One mind, shared by all. It just doesn't feel like we're sharing it. It feels like, because you see this body with this personality and these body lines and this little mind, this so-called personal mind, you assume that my mind belongs to me, right? Because I'm separate. My mind is separate from yours. We think differently. We had different experiences growing up. We've stored and stuffed different things. Therefore, we have different likes and dislikes, different preferences, different aversions. We therefore grasp and cling in different ways to get this mind settled and peaceful, to satisfy it. But it's just one mind, and we're just all experiencing it in different ways. There is no real separation between me and you. Therefore, there's no real separation between our minds. It's just one mind. And I also believe in universal thought, because we know mind is where the thought comes from, where the ideas come from, where the emotions come from, where the feelings or sensations are interpreted and come from. As when we begin to say, "Oh, I felt that felt pleasant, that felt unpleasant, that felt neutral." That is the mind, right? Sure, the brain is like a filter for the mind, and through the brain we can filter information from the senses. But it is the mind that experiences it, the mind that thinks it, the mind that believes it, the mind that has ideation regarding it, the mind that feels, right? And none of that will show up on a biopsy or show up on a autopsy. You can't see mind, but mind is there. So our thinking, I believe, is universal thought. Thoughts are just there too. Thoughts are just there. Feelings are just there. We just tap into them. We're receiving thoughts all the time. And they're not just our thoughts. even though they seem so personal to us. They're just thoughts that we have personalized, that the ego has personalized and called mine, because my mind is personal, therefore my thoughts are personal, my feelings are personal, my experience is so personal and unique to me. And that's the way we experience this mind in a noun. So the mind is really universal consciousness that ego has tried to separate and encapsulate bits of to call its own, when in reality there's only one mind. And so we talk about the noun mind, what is the verb mind all about? And the verb mind refers to what we put into our minds and what we do with our minds is mind. And you've all heard the expression, I'm sure, do you mind? I like that. Please. Do you pass that for me, please, if you don't mind? Do you mind if I tell you what I really think? What is on your mind? So we are just like using that mind as a verb because it is the action of putting into the mind, interpreting with the mind, and responding with the mind. Mind. Are you disturbed? And a lot of times in that connotation, we're talking about disturbance. When we say, do you mind, we really mean, will it disturb you if, right? So we're looking at the mind as being that part that tells us that we should be disturbed or we shouldn't be disturbed. Do you mind? So the mind, then, we know is prone to disturbance. And we know that is in the noun form, because when we look at the mind and we describe it adjectively with all our adjectives and whatever, we'll see the mind is a busy mind, it's a crazy mind, it's a monkey mind, it's a non-stop thinking mind, it's a overloaded mind, it's a stressed mind, right? So the mind is about, so a lot of times in our connotation as little human beings, we look at that mind, that great universal consciousness, and say, oh, my mind, I'm going to put it in a little encapsulated form in this little body and mind I call me, and call it my mind. And my mind is often disturbed. When we do that, when we take it from its grandiose form, it's like taking a drop of water from the ocean and trying to claim it as our own. That is disturbed because it's no longer, it feels like it's been taken from the ocean. It's made distance between the ocean from which it belongs. When we take our little section of mind and encapsulate it and call it my mind, we pulled it from the source of everything that it actually is. And therefore, the focus, because the mind is our consciousness, is our focus, our attention, right? So we are looking down now at this little drop of water in a glass. And it's so limited and so small and so separate from all that is. So powerless. And we see that as ourselves. So that section of personal mind limits us. It pulls us away from recognizing, remembering, and knowing who we truly are in the whole mind, as parts of the whole mind, as one consciousness. Instead, we're these tiny little drops in a glass, evaporating as quickly as we get there. That's not who we are. Sure, that water, that drop in the glass is still water. It is still ocean. Still that drop of you in that encapsulated form is still God. But it's such a tiny, tiny section of God. And you are so much more than that. Because God, the mind, if you share it, if you fall back into that whole ocean and merge with it, you become the whole mighty ocean again. If we fall back away from our little personal minds and our disturbance, the minding, and we fall back into God, and we're all that again. So, the mind also means, where are you putting your attention, right? Where are you minding? Mindfulness. Where are you putting your attention? Put your attention not on the little drop of water in a glass. Put your attention on the ocean from which it came from. And pick up that glass, bring it back to the ocean, and pour it in. That's what we need to do with our minds. Take this idea of little personal mind Bring it back to the source of the entire mind. Pour it in and merge into everything we are as one mind. Well, that's all I have to say about that. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Thank you for joining. Namaste.